Good morning, my dear students. Today we are going to continue the same lesson, the Peasants' Revolt, Pabna Revolt. Pabna Peasant Uprising was a resistance movement by the peasants against the oppression of the Zamindars. It originated in the Yusufzai Pargana of Pabna in Bengal. It was led by Kesab Chandra Roy. Peasants were often evicted from land on the pretext of non-payment of rent. Large crowds of peasants gathered and marched through villages, frightening the zamindars and appealing to other peasants to join with them. Funds were raised from the riots to meet the cost. Everywhere agrarian leagues were organized. The main form of struggle was that of legal resistance. There were only a few cases of looting of the houses of the zamindars. A few attacks on police stations took place, and the peasants also resisted attempts to execute court decrees. Hardly zamindars or zamindars' agents were killed or seriously injured. The riots developed a strong awareness of the law and their legal rights and the ability to combine and form associations for peaceful agitation. Deccan riots. In 1875, the peasants revolted in the district of Pune. That event has been called the Deccan riots. The peasants revolted primarily against the oppression of local moneylenders who were grabbing their lands systematically. The uprising started from a village in Pune district when the village people forced out a local moneylender from the village and captured his property. The uprising turned into violence when the Savukas took help of the police. However, it resulted in passing of the Deccan Agriculturist Relief Act, which removed some of the most serious grievances of the peasants. Punjab Peasant Movement. The peasants of the Punjab agitated to prevent the rapid alienation of their lands to the urban moneylenders for failure to pay debts. The British India did not want any revolt in that province, which provided a large number of soldiers to the British Army in India. To protect the peasants of the Punjab Land Alienation Act was passed in 1900 as an experimental measure to be extended to the rest of India if it worked successfully in Punjab. The Act divided the population of Punjab into three categories. They are the agricultural classes, the statutory agriculturist class, and the rest of the population, including the moneylenders. Restrictions were imposed on the sale and mortgage of the land from the first category to the other two categories. Champaran Satyagraha. The European planters of Champaran in Bihar resorted to illegal and inhuman methods of indigo cultivation at a cost which was wholly unjust. Under the Tinkatiya system in Champaran, the peasants were bound by law to grow indigo on 3/20th part of their land and send the same to the British planters at prices fixed by them. Mahatma Gandhi took up their cause. The government appointed an inquiry commission of which Mahatma Gandhi was a member. The grievances of the peasants were inquired and ultimately the Champaran Agrarian Act was passed in May 1918. Kheda Satyagraha. In the Kheda district of Gujarat, due to constant famines, agriculture failed in 1918, but the officers insisted on collection of full land revenue. The local peasants therefore started a no-tax movement in Kheda district in 1918. Gandhi accepted the leadership of this movement. Gandhi organized the peasants to offer satyagraha and opposed official insistence on full collection of oppressive land revenue despite the conditions of famine. The response to his call was unprecedented and the government had to bow to a settlement with the peasants. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel emerged as an important leader of the Indian freedom struggle during this period. Mopla Rebellion. The Muslim Mopla peasants of Malabar of Kerala was suppressed and exploited by the Hindu zamindars or Janmis and British government. This was the main cause of this revolt. The Mopla peasants got momentum from the Malabar District Conference held in April 1920. This conference supported the tenants' cause and demanded legislation for regulating landlord-tenant relations. In August 1921, the Mopla tenants rebelled against the oppressive zamindars. The Mopla peasants attacked the police stations, public offices, communications, and houses of the oppressive landlords and moneylenders. By December 1921, the government ruthlessly suppressed the Mopla rebellion. As a result of government intervention, 2,337 Mopla rebels were killed, 1,650 wounded, and more than 45,000 captured as prisoners. Bardoli Satyagraha. In 1928, the peasants of Bardoli in Gujarat started their agitation under the leadership of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in protest against the government's proposal to increase land revenue by 30%. The peasants refused to pay tax at the enhanced rate and started no tax campaign from 12th February 1928. Many women also participated in this campaign. In 1930, the peasants of Bardoli rose to a man, refused to pay taxes, faced the auction sales and the eventual loss of almost all of their lands, but refused to submit to the government. However, all their lands were returned to them when the Congress came to power in 1937. With this, History Unit 3 lesson is over. We will see the next lesson in the next online class. Thank you, my dears.
My dear students, today's class we are going to see Civics Unit 3, Understanding Secularism. India is a land of multi-religious faith and multicultural beliefs. It is the birthplace of four major religions: Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism and Sikhism. Modern nation states are multi-religious states, hence there is a need for tolerance of all religions. The concept of secularism is aimed at creating a society in which people of religious beliefs or people who do not belong to any religion can live together in harmony and peace. Rajaram Mohan Roy, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Rabindranath Tagore, Mahatma Gandhi and P.R. Ambedkar were some of the noted individuals held high in public regards who contributed towards the spread of secularism in the various phases of Indian society. Secularism is invaluable for a society like India, which is characterized by religious diversity. The term secularism is derived from a Latin word secularism, meaning an age or the spirit of an age. What does secularism mean? Secularism means an attitude of tolerance towards other religions and peaceful coexistence of citizens belonging to different faiths. It is policy of neutrality and equality by the states towards all religious communities. Secularism is the principle of separation of state and religion, or more broadly no interference of the state in the matters of religion and vice versa. This means that every citizen is free to propagate, practice and profess their faith, change it not have one according to their conscience. Objectives of secularism. One religious group does not dominate another. Some members don't dominate other members of the same religious community. The state does not enforce any specific religion nor take away the religious freedom of individuals. A simple statement by Poet Iqbal illustrates the secular view. Religion does not teach us animosity. We are Indians and India is our home. 12th Rock Edit Asoka. Emperor Asoka was the first great emperor to announce as early as 3rd century BC that the state would not prosecute any religious sect. In this 12th Rock Edict, Asoka made an appeal not only for the tolerance of all religious sects but also to develop spirit of great respect towards them. The characteristics of features of secular state. Principle of liberty. The state permits the practice of any religion. Principle of equality. The state does not give preference to any religion over another. Principle of neutrality. The state remains neutral in religious matter. The state observes an attitude to neutrality and impartiality towards all religions. All citizens are eligible to enter government service irrespective of their faith. There should be absolutely no religious instruction in educational institutions and no tax to support any particular religion. Importance of secularism. The concept of secularism evolved in India is equal treatment to all religions. We need secular state to maintain peace and harmony between people of various religious ideology. Constitution and secularism. Secularism is the part of Indian Constitution. The makers of the Indian Constitution wherever that a strong and united nation would be built only when all sections of people had the freedom to practice their religion. So secularism was accepted as one of the fundamental tenets for the development of democracy in India. The word secularism was not mentioned in our constitution when it was adopted in 1950. Later, on 1976, the word secular was incorporated in this preamble through the 42nd Amendment of the Indian Constitution. Is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic The basic aim of our constitution is to promote unity and integrity of the nation along with individual dignity. There is no state religion in India. The state will neither establish a religion of its own nor confer any special patronage upon any particular religion. The freedom of religion guaranteed under the Indian Constitution is not confined to its citizens alone but extends to allies also. This was pointed out by the Honorable Supreme Court in the case Rattilal Panjan, 5th State of Bombay in 1954. 19th century Hindu temple in Khajuraho, India incorporates a Hindu spire, a Jain cupola, a Buddhist stupa and a Muslim style dome in place of usual sikaro. The Constitution of India has the following distinguishing features. The state will not identify itself with or be controlled by any religion. The state guarantees to everyone the right to profess any religion of their own. The state will not accord any preferential treatment any of them. No discrimination will be shown by the state against any person on account of the religious faith. It created fraternity of the Indian people and gives assurance the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. Mosaic of constitutional provisions. Article 15, provision of discrimination on grounds of religion, caste, sex or place of birth, etc. Article 16, equality of opportunities in public employment. Article 25(1), guarantees the freedom of conscience and the right to profess, practice and propagate religion individuality. Article 26, freedom to manage religious affairs. Article 27, the state shall not compel any citizen to pay any taxes for the promotion of any particular religion. Article 28, on religious instruction or religious worship in certain educational institution. Article 29(2), a ban of discrimination in state aided educational institution. Secularism in education. Secularism in education means making public education free from any religious dominance. Children as future citizens must get education which should aim at the development of character and moral behavior irrespective of religious affiliations.
Secular education is needed.
Secular education is needed to remove narrow mindedness and makes dynamic and enlightened views, to develop moral and humanistic outlook, to train the youth to be good citizens, to strengthen democratic values like liberty, equality and fraternity and cooperative living, to give wider vision towards life, to develop any attitude of appreciation and understanding of others' point of view, to develop the spirit of love, tolerance, cooperation, equality and sympathy. So in this lesson we have learned that the Indian state is secular at work in the various ways to prevent religion domination. Secularism undoubtedly helps and aspires to enable every citizen to enjoy fully blessing of life, liberty and happiness. The Indian Constitution guarantees fundamental rights that are based on secular principles. That's all for today's class. My dear, see the next lesson in the next online classes. Thank you.